It's all come down to this. Last couple of upgrades. Also, I really like this bike for Randy.
You just like showing off his himbo self like that.
Because he's got a skull on the front.
That is actually perfect for Randy.
There was only one way this game could have gone, straight into the hole.
Like how the grass and shrubs pop in.
That's Unreal Engine 4 for you.
An extraordinary turn of events during what seemed to be the final moments of the robot invasion on Coastal City. This is a CSRB reporter broadcasting from the Armstrong Bridge, where hundreds, thousands of machines turned around and started moving back toward the city. I repeat, the robots seem to be going home, wherever that is.
Your mom's called them in for dinner.
See soldiers and police firing at the enemies, yet they do not engage us at all. It's like shooting ducks in a barrel, and may I say, my fellow citizens, it is a beautiful thing to behold. Whomever is causing that, God bless, and may you finish what you started. All the hearts of Coastal City are with you.
Yeah, fucking love war crimes. Woo!
Yeah! Fuck the Geneva Convention!
To be fair, they are robots. They don't count as people.
I mean, the war crimes are still being committed by humans. That's got to count. I'm sure there's a provision somewhere in the Geneva Convention for that.
Actually, no. I looked.
This level follows the grand tradition of final levels, where everything just gets really weird, nothing is clearly tested properly, even by this game's standards, and it just starts to do weird shit with gravity.
This is unbelievable.
All Toshi's fault?
Toshi, can you explain exactly what we're seeing?
No. I don't think I can, sorry.
Sure you can. Start by apologizing for causing this.
Okay. This must be a way to the heart of the invasion. Junk bots are machines, so there must be other machines that assemble them. Like, I don't know, some kind of a junk bot forge? Exactly. And I believe we've just found the entrance to it.
All right. Step on it then. We'll stop this invasion from within.
Yeah! Still rest coming for you, baby! We'll fight our way through your guts!
Oh, Randy.
Randy trying out his audition for Coltrane from Gears of War.
Full throttle.
So there are definitely other levels that have done something similar, where the quality just drops off and they get weird and experimental. You know, what comes to mind is like, you know, the Body of the Many from System Shock 2, or the last area in Metroid Prime, those kinds of areas.
I mean, I can give the Body of Many a pass because it actually had a reason to be weird and gribbly.
I mean, this has a reason, it just doesn't do it well. I cannot emphasize enough how completely fucked the physics are in this level, especially with the floating cubes.
I will admit, the face plant and then sit there for 4 seconds was worth a chuckle.
Yeah, this is the only level where that happens, and where there's no fade to black. There must have been something with the game engine that where they just couldn't do it. I should also point out that every time you fall, it's basically a dice roll as to whether you'll actually respawn where you should be in a safe spot, or if the game can't find a safe spot that's immediately close to you, it will respawn you all the way back at the beginning of the level.
Yeah, so pick your poison.
It actually was genuinely terrifying in a way that I'm not sure the developers intended. That every time you crash, I was like holding my breath to see whether I would have to re-record this. Also, this is, speaking of things that went wrong, that goon is, killing him triggers the next sequence over to the left, but I kind of fell down in the middle of it. there are multiple paths through this level that are very extensive. I'm not going to show them all off. I'm just going to show the one path I took, which is relatively straightforward, but not
Good
always
bounce.
safe.
That was actually pretty funny, just because the wheel. I mean, how many times in films and such has there been an instance where something shocking has happened, usually off screen, and then you see this sad, lonely wheel bounce across the camera viewpoint, right?
Yeah. The one comedy trope that comes to mind is when someone has a very unexpected death, and then the next shot immediately is a picture of them sitting on their casket.
Yeah, I mean, that's go-to, so it's just one of those things where you just kind of roll your eyes and chuckle at because it's just so tired, you know?
Mm-hmm. It is probably the best strategy here is to sort of ride with the current and hope you don't crash.
There goes that wheel again.
Mainly because turning around when you're on this track here is the speed that you lose when turning around probably isn't worth it. So as long as you're pointing in the right direction and you overshoot, you should probably just keep rolling on it. And the secret is right here. It's off to the left. This is actually somewhere I missed on my first couple of playthroughs, because it is.
Yeah, that's actually a well done secret because it's purely hidden by lighting.
Yeah. Yeah, this is basically one long descent, multiple paths, as I mentioned, and there's an attempt at something resembling a boss at the end here, which is not the final boss, but it's sort of like a climactic mini-boss at the end of the level. I was trying to see if I could spin the hangers from over here, but I don't know whether I couldn't.
That's the first one you didn't get smacked by, so...
Yeah, so yeah, I told you to keep that in mind. Those... I don't know what material that is.
We don't like this place. We need to find the core. It'll look like a
Yeah,
metallic
that's...
ore.
Yeah.
If we manage to turn it off,
Hell
we
is
might
that?
just stop the invasion.
And right about there, everyone should be jumping on how the hell do you know what the core looks like, Toshi?
Well, I mean, didn't he describe the orb prior to this, or am I thinking of one of the No, it was the interviews he did with Veronica where he was describing the orb.
That's right. So everyone should be jumping on his ass about why he knows what it looks like, because this is the first mention of it in the actual game.
Yeah, we've also picked up our final unique weapon, which is the sniper rifle. Unfortunately, it's unlocked way too late in the game to be any useful, but it's still pretty neat. I mean, it kills almost everything in one hit, and for the big enemies, it kills them in two.
So basically, it's an example of a good sniper rifle in a bad game. Again.
Well, there's not much you can really do in a sniper rifle where the gameplay is like purely 2D or at least side-scrolling. Like, it's not like you could zoom in or anything. There was a roguelike I played recently called West of Dead, which had a sort of a compromise for that, where you would hold down the fire button to increase the accuracy while using the sniper rifle. And it also... No, wait, it wasn't the accuracy. It would fire regardless. It was to charge up the damage that the shot did. At the longer you held on the enemy, the more damage. And that game is basically like a cover shooter Diablo, in a sense. So it works in that context.
I mean, to be fair, it's a cover shooter Diablo with Ron Perlman dribbling in your ear for the duration, so it's also good.
Yeah, and he's also the only voice actor in the game. Like, everyone else just grunts. Because they know they're not able to share the stage with Ron. So they just give him all the space he needs.
Oh, they probably asked him to do all the grunts too.
Oh no, the grunts are different people. Probably like the developers.
In the meantime, bust anything you find.
As I was saying.
Oh, that's my kind of plan! I love it!
Where's the DLC campaign with Randy exclusively? Come on, Tape Multimedia, you'll have plenty of time once you're done with Cow the Kangaroo, the Cow reboot. So this also is complicated. The objective marker doesn't update properly even when you hit the next objective.
Game.
No, I'm just mentally...
And, of course, there's the plot point that the junk bots are now converging upon you. Oh, god damn it, it's that little fucker again.
No, this is actually...
Fucking called it.
It's not. The boss is something different, for a change. This is the Devastator. It's basically a combination of every type of goon we've fought so far, and it can shoot fire.
It's scared, don't you see? It's scared. It has to be close now.
All of a sudden, I'm reminded of the end of Starship Troopers. It's afraid of us.
Yeah, basically...
Oh, Neil Patrick Harris.
The game tries to make the Devastator fight a little more difficult than it should, because the flame attack that it has will cover the ground immediately in front of it. But even then, I mean, Toshi's junk pet turns it into a joke, and if you can get into a stun lock with Randy's harpoon.
I will admit to some amusement of the irony of you killing a fire-belching enemy with a flamethrower.
I had not planned that, but I'm glad you were entertained. I was not so entertained by being flung back by the momentum of the invisible wall.
That is impressive in a way that most games do not manage. It's strange yet amusing.
It really is a shame about the charge attacks in particular, because they seem so interesting, but they're just totally useless.
It took this long for the game to upgrade the shotgun.
I mean, the shotgun was already pretty powerful as is. And here's a new bike for Lisa.
Considering it's titled the Yellow Jacket, it sure as hell doesn't look very yellow, does it?
Alright, here we go. The final boss. Here there be dragons.
Protect Toshi? What? No!
So, they just gave up with this last secret? It's right in front of you? I don't think there would really be any place to put the secret in the final boss arena, to be fair. So I'm gonna give them a pass on that one.
There! The orb! Heart of the invasion!
Look out! Killdozer! Toshi, you go. Do what you can to unplug the orb. We'll deal with the Killdozer.
Okay, boss. Here I go.
So the boss fight against the Killdozer, the final boss, it starts off as a remix of the first time that we fought it. It has all the same attacks in that first one. The game will just drop guns out of the sky. There are some other phases that I wasn't able to get good footage of because this boss kept breaking. The programming is not great to begin with, and this is a boss fight that was clearly not designed for this arena to begin with. So everything that can go wrong does when you're fighting this. This first section, the one that imitates the previous fight, that's only phase 1. We get to a second phase where the Killdozer will slam its arms down on top of the arena, and we'll see a bit of that later. But this is the final section. Once Toshi appears here, we switch to Toshi and only Toshi, no one else.
Love how the head clips to the side immediately to reflect character repositioning.
So I knew off the top of my head I would not be able to properly articulate my disgust for this boss. So instead, I've prepared an annotated musical montage. case it wasn't clear for that one, the first chunk was the armor upgrade that we got for James. Just one right after the other.
I mean, it specifically says that if you lose any health, you lose the armor entirely, right?
Yeah, it works like an invisible chunk of health, essentially. So this is the clean take, where I was somehow able to get the variant of the quick kill. What I didn't really make clear with the video there is that when the arms crush down, it makes Killdozer invincible for a time, and then you have to climb on top of the arm and use one of the gears.
Yeah, keep it coming.
So you see that sort of beehive armor there.
Yep.
You cannot harm the Killdozer when it has that armor on. So you have to drive on top of the arm and then hit the switch. But as I mentioned before in the montage there, it doesn't always work because the game takes your momentum into account.
Toshi, it's now or never.
I got it! I got it!
So
Come on, Toshi.
So during the previous phase, you only play as the other three characters, and in this final phase, you only fight as Toshi. The boss is continually regenerating its health. But the thing is that Toshi's junk pet does a huge amount of damage, in theory, and so the point of this phase is to use the junk pet to deal more damage than the Killdozer could regenerate on its own. And I just sort of lucked into it, but hey, I'm gonna take the W anyway.
Look, it's falling apart! It's falling!
Yay!
Enough time has passed since I recorded this that I'm able to discuss what I'm doing in a calm manner, but I just completely lost my cool entirely while recording this. It was not fun. And
There's a reason why, before the recording started, I suggested that the music video just be a litany of all the ways he said fuck.
The last two costumes, I couldn't get those. I was not going to replay the boss just to do that.
All the junk bots just stood there, motionless. Just heaps of junk, no longer animated by the vengeful intent of their central mind.
The point is, I got all the
As
upgrades.
soon as Coastal City was secured, we started rebuilding and celebrating, affirming our survival.
None of you people did anything.
Going back to the fell yards, back to the hole. I keep thinking about the old.
You fucking idiot!
What did it really want? Because deep down, I don't think it's over yet. I think whatever this is, it's just about to start.
And that's the game.
That sequel hook could not be any bigger if it tried.
And it was such a limp sequel hook as well. Like, just the speculation that things could happen in the future.
I mean, it could be worse. It could be you all walk into a tavern and meet these complete strangers you have never met before. Now they're your party.
I'd like to talk to you about the Steel Rats initiative.
Yes, I used to play Dungeons and Dragons. I have seen all the classics.
Now, the best part about this is we have a list of people we can blame for this.
I don't know. We can't. I would blame Big Blue Studios for the outsourcing development, but I'm not going to blame the main developers. I mean, they tried. They really put in a lot of effort into this game.
Yeah.
And it just turned out terribly.
We were saying earlier.
Okay. These guys, quality assurance.
Oh,
yeah,
it gets better. There are multiple quality assurance teams that worked on this game. Also, Q-Lock did the PC port, which, they've done good ports, and I think they did the best possible job they could with this.
I have honestly never heard of them before now, so...
They've done the ports for all the Yakuza games, for bringing those to PC.
Oh!
And they also worked on DMC Devil May Cry, which is actually a really good PC port, regardless of what you think of the game itself. PC port was done really well. So
fair cop. That's actually pretty high praise for him.
3 different public relations teams.
3 PR teams,
And
no
a 4th.
PR.
Yeah, and a 4th depending on how you treat sandbox strategies. I'm actually speeding up these credits by about double. But there's an option right here. This disclaimer is great. I love that they brag about winning a Best Gameplay award before they'd actually revealed any gameplay.
I mean, I'll be honest, that is pretty fucking funny for one simple reason. You can see big companies doing the same thing now.
Yeah. I mean, this happened around the same time. Or this was, I think it was, I'm trying to remember. It was a European indie game show where they showed off the concept trailer and somehow won Best Gameplay. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but I'm gonna look that up.
Don't forget, it was the year before Blizzard opened its mouth, crammed in both feet, and shouted, "Don't you all have phones?"
Sadly, Steel Rats was not an out-of-season April Fool's joke, but here we are anyway. So hopefully this works in terms of our reaction videos, and hopefully YouTube's not going to get mad at us. There's a piece of promotional material that I have yet to tell either of you about. This is a fellow by the name of Dan Bull, who does music based on video games, and occasionally he will write music as part of a promotion for an upcoming game.
I am going to run away screaming now.
With lyrics inspired by the game that he's shilling. So, I mean, he is not a bad musician. He has some pretty decent flow. But it's just even the best musician could only come up with some good things about a game like Steel Rats.
Alright, move aside, we're coming through. What are you gonna do? We're roasting Coastal City like an outbreak of sudden flu.
What fresh hell is this?
It is a decent musician trying to shill a terrible game and not quite having the talent to sell it off. And they show off Toshi being possessed because it's one of the only action cutscenes of the whole game. This is all from that one trailer I mentioned before.
Trying to find mischief, define critics with rhymes are stylistic, nihilistic.
This is genuinely not even Detroit rap. This is bad, man.
I don't know. The Detroit rap does have Tires Applied lipstick in there, so... Oh, God, I can feel pain in my soul. How the hell? Jesus Christ, man.
This is worse than Detroit rap. This is white British rap.
Oh, my God.
I mean, it could be made worse. It could be Quantic Dream Detroit rap.
Oh, God.
That's French rap. That's even worse.
There's a reason why I said it could be worse.
Breathing the pollution till my sinuses are bleeding. Petrol fumes fuel the golden stinker diesel. We really seem to have let the roof a whole freaking cathedral. Leaping it like evil Knievel. If he was still in free fall, swooping in and taking your treats like we were thieving seagulls. Went out a role model and living a full throttle. Tires spinning.
Honestly, I think the most interesting part of this video is the desperate attempt to find any decent footage. Like that bit from the opening cutscene, that's from an earlier build of the game, I think from maybe an E3 trailer or something, because you can see the whole B to skip interface is different. I'm pretty sure I have that fire stock effect somewhere in my my editing library.
English. I know I inflicted this game upon you by telling you it was free a year and a half ago. This
is my revenge.
This is punishment, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Not only is it revenge, this is a war crime. This is a crime against sanity and humanity alike.
Well, I mean, we started with a war crime, so might as well end with one.
I think I might have just voided their warranty somewhat.
See, I don't want to say anything against Dan Bull generally. I think that, I mean, this is what happens when you only have like a week or two to come up with how long is this? With a 3.5-minute song about a game you haven't played that isn't out yet. All you have is just basic promotional material. Biker Groove.
The sad thing, of course, is that the promotional material is about 40 times better than what we get in-game.
Well, I mean, they've got that part of game development down.
Anyway, it's I think that when it came to viral marketing, that the game got what it deserved.
A short, sharp toss into a dumpster, you mean? Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Just find that shot of someone just tossing their monitor into the can. I don't care at this point.
Anyway, so that was Steel Rats. It certainly was an experience. I think it was certainly a case of some very eager developers who had a great concept going in way over their heads, and they probably should have just at least stuck with a tech demo first or something. They had some experience working with motorcycle games, but nothing quite like this. This was a whole other beast.
I have to admit that, as I said before we started recording, I feel bad for shitting on the developers because they really did their best with what skills they had, with what tools they had, and the ideas they had. It just never meshed. We had all of one decent level over the course of the entire game, and that was the dirigible level in World 2, basically. And at the end of the day, that was a decent level because it cleaved so closely to the design that was pioneered by, well, Trials, which is something that the developers have been following for a while and have been trying to emulate for a while with mixed levels of success, right?
Right.
So, at the end of the day, as much as it pains me to say it, this game is a very good example of confidence exceeding one's ability more than anything else, and that is the nicest thing I can say about it, really, which is probably the worst thing I can say about it, because it doesn't feel right for me to rag on them any further than that, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
It's very high concept, low execution. I like the story. I'm okay with the characters. I can tell the gamepad was going to get thrown through the wall at some point. So,
I mean, the story is your very bog standard story, but we did get a good laugh out of shitting on Toshi because of the fact that he deserves every punishment coming his way.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you heard that, everybody. There's the new Cow the Kangaroo reboot coming out. Buy that game so that we could get a sequel to Steel Rats. It's the only way we can do it.
Oh, fuck you.
It's the only way.
Buy
There's
that
a sequel
game.
to Steel Rats, you're doing it yourself.
Buy that game on Steam, and when you get the chance to review it, ask the developer for Steel Rats 2 instead of actually reviewing the game.
Yeah, specifically focusing either on Randy, or perhaps we could get like a spin-off campaign where we play as the Killdozer, trying to tail behind Toshi, who he thinks is his mother, at every opportunity.
Just expand the map to the entirety of the United States and call it Randy and Toshi's Wet Hot American Road Trip.
Well, that's about as homoerotic as we're gonna get. Have a good night, guys.
And so that's the end of Steel Rats. There's one more video coming out, which is just the lore for Chapter 5. Nothing, mandatory, but it's there if you want to see it. And then after that, Roy and I will go back to the Crash Bandicoot trilogy. We're going to finish up with Crash Bandicoot 3, or actually its proper name is Crash Bandicoot Warped. But everyone calls it Crash 3 because that's just easier to say. So that's going to be great. I have a lot of specific memories tied to that game, and we'll play through the NST version of that. And then I have a couple of ideas about what I want to do next, but I won't make any commitments now because I'm not. I haven't officially made up my mind yet on that.
Meanwhile, in my case, I'll just be going back to streaming the occasional game when my work schedule is not an absolute pile of assholes.
And I will post a link to Grubb's channel in the comments because he doesn't have a shortened version of it. And
because nobody checks out my channel anyway, and I don't bother updating it anyway.
If at least one person subscribes to your channel because of this LP, I will consider it a success.
I mean, to be fair, I made you suffer through watching me play Aliens Colonial Marines. I think my channel survived enough.
Oh!
That was a choice. I can't blame you for that. I did it on my own, and I suffered for it, but it was my burden.
It was your burden, yes, but your comment that my co-commentator sounded like they're being held at gunpoint held true through the entire fucking thing.
Anyway,